Okay.
Ooh, special edition.
Yes. Oh, not recorded live because I needed something to throw up while I'm going to be at Wizard World Chicago this weekend. But, so, was it worth it? Here's what happened. In case you didn't see the Midnight Screenings review of Just Getting Started, this was a movie that we went to go see last year.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah, it was like November or December of last year. It was like November, December of last year. And can you use your phone real quick to boost up another light? Used to doing these live now. Cool. Oh, thank you. So it was like November, December last year, and we got 40 minutes into the movie, and the movie was really bad. It was really, really, really bad. And 40 minutes into it, the manager or an employee of the movie theater came in and said, "Everyone needs to evacuate the building. There's a gas leak." And I remember this movie being so bad that I just instinctively went like, "Thank God." And we went out into the parking lot where everyone who was in the building was just kind of standing out there. And we were like, I don't think the theater's going to open back up tonight. And it didn't. So we went to the car and we reviewed like the first 45 minutes of the movie, and we were like, oh, you know what, when it hits video, we'll watch the rest of it, and we'll talk about the rest of it then. And it still made my worst of list that year. I think it was in like the bottom 5. And I said in the review, I know this because I went back and rewatched the review last night so I could kind of catch myself up on this. I said, like, unless this movie fucking miraculously turns itself around in the last half hour of it, well, guess what? I guess there's one way to recommend watching the movie Just Getting Started, and that's if there's an 8-month gap in between. It took us this long to get to this. We were like, oh yeah, we'll watch that soon. Oh, we'll watch that soon. Oh, we'll watch that coming up, until eventually I was like, you know what, this question kept getting brought up on all the live streams I was doing, so I was like, you know what, we really should probably get to this. So what the plot of this movie is, just to catch you up on this, is that this is a Ron Shelton movie. Ron Shelton wrote and directed the film, and Morgan Freeman runs a, like, retirement villa, and he has been in witness protection for a really long time, and he happened to be on the news at one point, and Jane Seymour, who must have shot all her scenes in a fucking day, because she never leaves her hotel room. She never leaves her hotel room at all. She's constantly in a different wig every time it's showing her. And so she sees him on TV. It's like, oh, this guy's still alive. So she sends this hitman, who in the first 2/3 of the movie we don't see. She sends this hitman to try to kill off Morgan Freeman. Meanwhile, there's this grumpy old man plot going on because Tommy Lee Jones shows up, and they're both, like, at odds with each other, doing fucking practical jokes on each other because they're both trying to woo Rene Russo, who is there to, what was she doing again?
She was from the corporate office of the place that owned the villa, and she was there to do the accounting, look at the books and stuff, which were being cooked a little bit, or maybe not so much cooked, but creatively doctored by Morgan Freeman's character.
Waiting so long between this is so anticlimactic, man. The last time I can think of seeing something this anticlimactic was when Dave and I went to go see The November Man, the Pierce Brosnan movie, and there was a lot of heavy storms during that, so the projector and the power kept going out, and the power eventually went out for quite a while, so a lot of us were hanging out, like, in the lobby.
Right.
We're like, okay, there's probably about 20 minutes or so of this movie left. Eventually, finally, the power came back on. Dave and I go back in to watch the rest of The November Man, and it was all of this for, like, the last 60 seconds of the movie. Like, the movie already ended abruptly, but when you gotta wait like an hour to see what you don't know is only just like the last 60 seconds of the movie.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. Everyone in the theater was like, fucking what? All of this for that? God damn it. And that's how I feel here. Difference being November Man is like okay at best. This movie is like total fucking dog shit, and we waited so long to see what... nothing happened in the rest of this movie, man.
If the gas leak had occurred within the last 10 minutes of that movie, I'd have been like, no, it just take me. Just take me now. And I understand the irony of a man who would die from gas inhalation making Jew jokes. But yes, no, just if we would have had to watch that, I'd have been like, you know what, I'm not gonna move. Just take me now, because this is no. No, just no.
When this movie ended, we were both like, all of this for that. Here's what, okay, so here is what we missed. When we left and we came back, because we weren't sure, I think, how far we were into the movie. I think in our first review, we said, like, we probably saw an hour of it. No, it was about somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes. The last thing that we remembered was the coyote coming and taking away Rene Russo's dog, which is then replaced by the most obvious toy dog you've ever seen. And after that, so on this golf course, Morgan Freeman and Tommy Lee Jones were like, okay, now it's competition time. We're gonna see which one of us gets to woo Rene Russo. So they start having like all these games in which no one else in this villa has any lives. Their only means of existence is to just watch what these two guys are doing. So they're like playing chess. There's a limbo competition where Morgan Freeman limbos with, it's not the most obvious Morgan Freeman stunt double I've seen, because there was a scene in London Has Fallen where they just put this actor and glued cotton balls to the back of his head and stuck him in front of Gerard Butler. It was insane. So I was like, well, all right, fine, this gets a pass. And then they decide to like, okay, fine, we're gonna settle this on the golf course on Christmas Day, because this is all taking place during Christmas, because it's one of those movies where you can tell they just sort of forced Christmas into this. Nothing that's happening has anything to do with Christmas, but Christmas is forced into it, like you see in a lot of movies, especially Hallmark Christmas movies, which this movie's very much a lot like, where it was maybe existing as something else prior, but hey, you insert Christmas into it, and now we can get a bunch of repeat viewings of this on cable once a year. And so it's Christmas Day, and again, no one has lives outside of just...
No family, no nothing. Nobody's opening presents.
Yeah.
Nobody's actually celebrating Christmas. They're celebrating the birth of this epic competition. This
golf competition, because now it's the last act of Caddyshack 2, and not like Morgan Freeman's assistants or any of the friends or any of the other employees, none of that, I guess their families hate them, so they have nothing else better to do on Christmas Day than to watch this golf competition with Morgan Freeman and Tommy Lee Jones, in which Morgan Freeman is obviously cheating. He's having Joey Pants cheat for him, just out in the open with crowds watching him, just coming out, just throwing a ball like, oh, you didn't see me. Like, at least, like, Goldfinger tried to hide the fact he was cheating. Or Judge Smales in Caddyshack.
This was probably the least interesting golf montage I've ever seen in my life.
Morgan Freeman's playing it one-handed.
Yeah. We couldn't tell if he was actually needing to play, like if he actually had a stroke and could only play with one hand, or if he was actually going through with his promise to beat him with one hand.
Yeah.
But it just looked awkward. It's just awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I was like, why is he doing this? Because, like, look how great at golf I am. I can beat you one-handed. That, at first, that's how I was taking that.
Yeah, but then the way, like, his left arm just kind of hung there, it was almost like he had a stroke, but I don't ever remember that being mentioned in the movie. It might have been. We may have really glossed over it because who the fuck cares? But,
but then all of that is put on hold, the whole love triangle thing, until the very end of the movie, because then the hitman plot comes back into it, where the world's worst hitman keeps trying to kill them by blowing up vehicles that they are not in. That are blowing up as soon as they walk away from it, or if they're inside, or there's a car chase in which the hitman is in a van shooting at them, and then their truck breaks down, which would have been the perfect opportunity for the hitman to then stop and shoot the two of them, but doesn't, but just keeps going. So much shit that, like, the final showdown where he happens to have his hand sticking outside the window just so he can get shot in the hand, and then Rene Russo can be rescued because the hitman kidnaps Rene Russo. This whole time, I'm thinking in my head that the hitman is going to turn out to be somebody. Like, it's going to turn out to be, like, my money was on Morgan Freeman's assistant.
The guy who hates us because we hate his movie.
The guy who, after we put up the review for the first time, like, was on Twitter yelling at us because we didn't like it. And it wasn't just us, it was a couple other critics too, like negative reviewers that he was yelling at. With us, he said something like, yeah, well, whatever, thanks for your money. Like, like
what a goddamn baby.
First of all, this is my job. The revenue takes care of what I pay for to go see this. So I didn't lose any fucking money going to see this.
You're welcome for your 50-cent contribution. You know, our contribution of 50 cents to you. That.
I guess the money went to him. The ticket prices. So I mean, I was like, okay. I was sitting there like, okay. I mean, like, no one wants to. He probably had a really good time making this. I'm sure no one would want to see bad reviews of something they probably had a good time making.
Yes, but you got to be realistic about what you do. You can't sit there and expect everyone to be like, "This is the greatest movie ever made." This ain't no Citizen Kane, motherfucker. Just calm your shit. Just calm down.
It's like, you can't be that surprised this movie got that bad of reviews. And
that's my thing. Like, there had to have been more negative reviews than positive reviews.
It has a 5 on Rotten Tomatoes.
So did he go around to every negative review and leave a comment? Because Jesus Christ, how petty, and what a waste of your fucking time.
He was yelling at one critic on Rotten Tomatoes, where the Rotten Tomatoes quote was something like, everyone involved with this movie should be put up on charges for war crimes, and then
that's a little bit hyperbolic.
But I mean, so he was like, excuse me, what war crime should I be brought up for? But if you actually read the review that the guy wrote, his next sentence is, I am clearly joking right now. Like, literally, obviously, that is his next sentence, is like, I'm obviously not being serious. But even if he didn't write, I'm obviously not being serious, why would you think that this critic is literal about, like, I literally think they should all be brought up on charges for war crimes? Clearly.
Every one of you motherfuckers gets to go to Nuremberg now.
Yeah.
Recreate the trials. Hang them all.
For fucking just getting started. But I was predicting it was going to be this guy because I was like, he seemed really mad we didn't like this movie. So maybe he's got, like, a good scene towards the end where he turns out to be the hitman and we missed it. Plus, they were really hiding who the hitman was.
Yeah.
Like, every time Jane Seymour is on the phone with the hitman, it's never showing the hitman. No. And whenever he's running into his van at first, they're hiding him.
He's got a hat. You see him they shoot him from back angles.
So I'm expecting it's going to be one of the two assistants or somebody, Glenn Headley or Elizabeth Ashley or Joey Pants or Johnny Mathis, who's in this. Or
at least the skeleton of Johnny Mathis.
Yeah. So I was expecting, like, that. But it was a random guy.
Yeah, just some rando.
I'm sure he was, because it turns out to, spoiler, it turns out to be just some guy who was working with the animals.
He was bringing the animals in, yeah.
So maybe it did show him in the first half of it, but...
It did for like a minute.
Yeah.
Like, but you would have never thought, oh, clearly that's the guy, because...
Why even bother hiding who this is? Like,
No.
I was seriously expecting, like, because you said, like, really hiding all this for just this random guy? And I said to you, I was like, it can't be him. I was like, it can't be. Why would they be hiding him so much if it just turns out to be just this random guy who was played by the husband from the Disappointments Room? Like, I'm like, why? It can't be. So I kept waiting for another twist to happen. Like, maybe even when he kidnaps Rene Russo, I was like, it's somebody else has to turn out to be in on this. Why are you taking so much time to hide this guy? Like, it's got to turn... I was like, maybe the assistant will be his brother or something, and the two of them are...
Yeah.
But no, this is what I mean. It's like, this is taking away the fact that we spent so many months in between watching both parts of this movie. This is so anticlimactic as fuck. And even the resolution of this love triangle is like about as epic as the resolution of the same love triangle from Ron Shelton's Play It to the Bone.
Which to me, there is no real resolution. It just kind of cuts moving on.
Yeah, it just moves on. It's like, it's now New Year's, and Tommy Lee Jones has now bought the villa, and Morgan Freeman has now opened another one in Florida, which this is a lot of things to have happened in a 1 week's period of time.
No shit.
Unless I missed it, say, 1 year later, but I don't think it did. Like, this is a lot of shit to happen in 1 year. I mean, not only that, but he also has a new identity.
Yeah, no, that was...
stupid. And it just abruptly ends. Like, I think Tommy Lee Jones and Rene Russo are now an item.
Yeah.
And then Morgan Freeman is dancing at his new villa while credits play over him.
The end.
The fucking end. We were seriously like, this is a waste of time. Like, if the first half was a waste of time, then watching the second half almost a year later is definitely a waste of time. At least we could watch it at home and we could talk during the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So, long story short, nothing happened in the last act of this movie that made me be like, you know what, maybe I was too harsh putting this on my worst of list. No, I was right to put this on the worst of list.
Two very shitty chase scenes, and then one of the worst standoffs of all time.
Oh, yeah, and not to mention the golf scene that had more special effects with its golf balls than Caddyshack 2 did. It was doing the same effects, too, with, like, the special effect ball flying and the sound effect. They might as well have pulled out Jackie Mason's Future Club. I mean, I'll say this. Like, it did look like they probably did have fun making it. Like, I'll give it that. Like, I mean, Tommy Lee Jones and Morgan Freeman really aren't sleepwalking through this. It looks like all of these actors are probably friends, or at least close with Ron Shelton. Like, they all probably get along really well. This did feel like it's probably a group of guys who have known each other for a long time and are just getting together for shits and giggles to make this movie. I'll say that it didn't look like any of them had a bad time making this.
Well, I'm glad they had fun making it, because I sure as fuck didn't have fun watching it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It is one of those where the actors on screen are having a lot more fun than sitting there watching the thing. Like an Adam Sandler vacation movie. Ew, this movie was... No, this movie was... I can't believe we got 2 reviews out of this damn thing. Really? This, of all movies? Of a movie that I didn't see a trailer for this before it came out.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
I had kind of forgotten about that until I watched the first review last night. I was like, oh yeah, I never did get a trailer for this. I knew it was coming out because the poster was in the lobby for a while.
Right.
But no, this movie just came out with no promotion that I saw. I'm sure it had some promotion, but I never got a trailer.
Not a lot of it.
If a movie comes out and I don't get a trailer for it, because I'm at about 3 to 4 fucking movies a week with about 7 trailers in front of each of those fucking movies. So if a movie comes out and I've not gotten a trailer for it, that usually means advertisement where it wasn't that fucking great. Sometimes a movie can surprise me. I remember we liked that Bad Samaritan movie, and
that one wasn't bad. That was a fun, tense little thriller.
It was. That was a nice surprise, and I never got any trailer for that before it came out.
I think I had seen one trailer on YouTube the day that we went to go see it, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, there we go." But other than that, there was really no huge push.
The same thing, I mentioned the Disappointments Room earlier, because the guys in both movies. Yeah. It was the same thing with that movie, too. I never got a single trailer for that before that movie came out.
I remember seeing more about that one, but still not like, it's like, the hell type of movie is this? Like, it was one of the trailers where it was just like, are you trying to be is this a horror movie? Is this a ghost story?
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was, that movie was bad. Usually, you know what, I've seen this in the comments where when I say, like, I got little to no advertisement for this. A lot of people in the comments say that they saw a lot of advertisements for it online on YouTube and things like that. I don't know why the fuck that would be the case with this movie. A movie made for people over the age of 50. It's made for the baby boomers.
Yeah, I can't imagine the demographic that being geared towards them online. No.
Yeah. Anything else to say about this?
I mean, I think we could have just probably winged it. We could have probably just guessed it this last 40 minutes and probably been about 90% correct on what happened.
Or we could have just read the rest of the plot synopsis on Wikipedia.
True. And saved us some time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at least it's done. We don't have to see it again, so... Maybe Maybe we get yelled at one more time, and then that'll be the end of it. So yeah.
Yes. I got your money again, motherfuckers.
Except not. So.
All right, guys. I think Sarah and I are gonna also do like a Patreon requested midnight screening, so that should be up about the same time as this one. And if you're around the Chicago area, come see us at Wizard World Chicago, which is probably where we are right now when you're watching this video. We're recording this on Monday night. So, all right, everyone. Thanks for waiting patiently to find out the thrilling conclusion of just getting started. That's how we should have ended the last review. Just been like, oh, you think we're done with this movie? We're just getting started.
That was actually the plot of the film, not the actual movie title. They just couldn't come... It's like, oh, this movie never gets started, so let's just get it started. It's like, sounds good. Let's slap it on there and go.
Boom! Put it out in theaters. All right, take care. See ya.